Good morning. We are most pleased to welcome today some very important African leaders for the new millennium. The Queen Mothers of the Central Region of Ghana. We have the pleasure to host Nana Ama Asima, the third Paramount Queen Mother of the Mankasim traditional area and president of the newly formed Central Region Queen Mothers Association, and 4 Paramount Queen leaders of the association. They have accepted the invitation of the Morehouse men who they hosted in Ghana in the summer of 2011 and 2012 to visit Atlanta. This is the first official delegation of Queen Mothers from Ghana to the United States. Will you please rise and receive the Queens? I present to you the Queen.
Should I read this thing? No, my speech is good.
How long is it?
Okay.
It needs to just be very brief. We're already late.
Okay. Hello. Good morning. I'm pleased to be here. We are pre-mothers from Ghana, and we are happy to be with you. We want to learn your culture. We want you to come to Ghana. You are almost welcome to Ghana. If you want to come to Ghana to build, if you want to come to Ghana to do anything special, try to contact us. Try to come to our palace, and we will welcome you. Once again, thank you for everything. Thank you.
Let us stand for prayer. And if you would, reach out across the aisles and take someone by the hand. In the spirit of Howard Washington Thurman, let us silence our minds and calm our spirits. Thou, O God, are our peace, protector, and promise keeper. We are grateful that when the sweet sunshine tiptoed across our faces, we realized that once again we were gifted with a fresh day to complete unfulfilled tasks from yesterday. We are thankful that we've been fortified by your joy, guided by your favor, lifted by your love, strengthened by your grace, encouraged by your mercy, surrounded by your peace, and mesmerized by a second chance. So as we saunter purposefully to the culmination of this semester, our souls don't have to wonder how we've made it over. You, O God, our sovereign spirit, has kept us through the mystery of math, the challenge of chemistry, the problems of psychology, the rigor of religion, and the struggle through Spanish. God, you have kept us. And for that, we've come to tell you thank you. And as we approach this new day in Morehouse history, as you've been with us in the past, we are confident and sure that you're walking with us into tomorrow. We seal this prayer in your many names, and all those who agree say amen.
I welcome you to this Crown Forum. We thank God for the inimitable spirit of young brother Reginald Sharp, who can preach a sermon while he's praying a prayer and who lifts our spirits in this chapel. Before I introduce this morning's Crown Forum speaker, let me pause to acknowledge the presence of the Queen Mothers of the Central Region of Ghana, West Africa. It was a deep honor to hear the Queen Mother invite all of you, all of us, to visit Ghana. I have been twice, the First Lady and I visited, and I hope that all of you will place Ghana on your well-traveled map. These 5 women of Africa represent progress and change. They represent new leadership, and we welcome you. As Dean Carter mentioned, this is their first official trip to the United States as a delegation. Several men of Morehouse spent a summer in Ghana 2 years ago, and now the Queen Mothers have accepted our students' invitation to repay their hospitality. Morehouse has always been blessed with quite an impressive delegation of students from Ghana here in our student body. We're honored to have you with us, Queen Mothers, and we hope that whenever your travels bring you back to Atlanta, you will visit us here at Morehouse College, the ground that produces Renaissance men. Morehouse is also honored today to have with us as our Crown Forum speaker an extraordinary public theologian and professor of church and community at the Candler School of Theology at Emory University, where he's also served as president of the University Senate and associate dean for faculty development. He's an ordained elder in the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, and Dr. Smith has received his undergraduate degree from Washington University in St. Louis. He later earned the Master of Divinity degree from Eden Theological Seminary and a Doctor of Philosophy degree from St. Louis University. With a focus on social justice, he served as executive director of the Education for Black Urban Ministries program at Eden. Dr. Smith has served the boards of a variety of agencies whose purpose is to address issues of health, education, children, justice, and reconciliation. He is one of the nation's premier scholars on Howard Thurman, the Morehouse graduate that has really touched the world with his vision of ecumenical and universal cooperation and finding common ground among peoples who differ. Men of Morehouse reflect on that one phrase, find common ground among those with whom you differ. Because that is a tactic, but it is also a philosophical and theological outlook on life. The assertion that there is common ground and that real leaders search for the common ground, as Mays and King and Maynard and so many others have done through history. And so we are blessed today to have him. I might take as this moment of personal privilege as Cheryl and I visit our final Crown Forum in the capacity of president. And thanks be to God for our relationship and our work. And I am happy as I approach the final 45 days. I am smiling today because Morehouse has done something extraordinary this week as we have announced our new president, the 11th president, an exceptional man, a dear friend for over 25 years. Dr. John Wilson will carry us forward and higher, and I am thrilled. And so let's acknowledge our president-elect, John Wilson, today. I also acknowledge today royalty that lives in our midst, none other than Dr. Barbara King, a local pastor, but who's also, during her visit to Ghana, was made chief of a region. And so we thank you, Dr. King, Chief King. God bless you. Dr. Smith, we await your words. Challenge us and bless us. Hear now the extraordinary selection from the world-class Morehouse College Glee Club.
love Jesus? Yes, yes, I do love my Jesus. Sinner, do you love Jesus? His name so sweet. Oh Lord, I just come from the fountain. I'm just from the fountain, Lord. I just come from the fountain. His name so sweet. Oh Lord, I just come from the fountain. I'm just from the fountain, Lord. I just come from the fountain. His name so sweet. Cause Peter, do you love Jesus? Yes, yes, I do love my Jesus. Peter, do you love Jesus? His name so sweet. Oh Lord, I just come from the fountain. I'm just from the fountain, Lord. I just come from the fountain. His name so sweet. Oh Lord, I just come from the fountain. I'm just from the fountain, Lord. I just come from the fountain. His name so sweet. Sandala, do you love Jesus? Yes, yes, I do love my Jesus. Ella, do you love Jesus? His name so sweet. Oh Lord, I just come from the fountain. I'm just from the fountain, Lord. I just come from the fountain. His name so sweet. Oh Lord, I just come from the fountain. I'm just from the fountain, Lord. I just come from the fountain. His name so sweet. Oh Lord, I just come from the fountain. I'm just from the fountain, Lord. I just come from the fountain. His name so sweet.
Thank you, President Franklin. Certainly for that introduction, but also for times when you have been a colleague, a friend, and for all the times in which you have provided prophetic leadership, not only here, but in every place that you've served. It's been an inspiration to many of us. It's been an inspiration to me, and I treasure our relationship. To First Lady Franklin, it's so good to see you again. To the honored Queen Mothers, welcome. It is a joy. It's a surprise to me. I was not aware of your coming, but as I speak of my time here, having the opportunity to experience this time with you is so special. Thank you. To the various platform guests, Chief King, and to our honored guest, Dr. Carter, and to Dean Carter, with whom over the years there's been this wonderful relationship. Our time of looking at the carillons that would be ringing the hours on the Morehouse campus, as well as songs of Zion to be sung throughout. We've had many precious moments together, and I value them, and I thank you for this invitation. To the faculty, staff, and students, it's fitting that at this event that celebrates the life of Howard Thurman, that I would focus what I have to say on Howard Thurman, and I will. But even more important, I am the bearer of the message that Howard Thurman has for each of you in this auditorium. And that message is, you are of ultimate worth. You are of ultimate worth, each one of you. And if you live your life with this awareness, you can launch into the adventure of life with the assurance that no person, no tragedy, no defeat, no systemic violation has the power to diminish who you are. Despite the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, your worth is secure. Therefore, the challenge is to live your life as a person who knows that he has ultimate worth. Thurman stressed that one of the fundamental necessities for meeting this challenge is for you to know and to embrace yourself. And perhaps it seems odd to speak of knowing yourself. After all, you've lived with yourself all the hours of your existence. However, it's easy to think that you know yourself and to really not know yourself. We're all caught up in being busy, doing things, that we slip into defining ourselves by what we do. As students, you study, you research, you're involved in athletics, you're involved in chorus, you're involved in parties, you're involved in fraternity life. You play many roles. In addition, you have family roles as a son, as a brother, as a nephew, as an uncle, perhaps for some even as a husband and a father. And it's easy to be defined by these roles and defined by how successful you are in these roles, and never really answer the question, who am I? Who am I as a student? Who am I as a family member? Who am I as a friend? Who am I when I'm not busy? Who am I when I succeed in my efforts, and who am I when I fail in my efforts? Taking seriously what others think of you is what we spend a lot of time doing. But take yourself seriously. This is essential to taking life seriously. Thurman raised the question in one of his writings, how can I believe that life has meaning if I do not believe that my own life has meaning? Or as he often quoted from the great poet of India, Kabir, here is the truth. Go where you will, from Benares to Mathura. If you have not found your own soul, the world is unreal to you. Do you embrace who you are and not just what you do? Do you have this sense of certainty about who you are fundamentally? It's not a question I want you to answer now. You couldn't necessarily trust an answer that you have now, for this is a lifelong question, but you must take it and you must keep digging for an answer until you hit bedrock. My son, Lutheran, when he was about 6 years old, I called to him. I wanted to show him something, and I said, Lutheran, come over here. I have something I want to show you. And he said, my name's not Lutheran. I said, well, what's your name? He said, my name is Superman. I said, okay, Superman, come over here. I have something I want to show you. He said, my name isn't Superman. I said, well, okay, what's your name? He said, I'm the Incredible Hulk. Okay. Incredible Hulk, come over here. I really want to show you something. I'm not the Incredible Hulk. Well, who are you? I'm Batman. Batman, come over here, please. I have something I want to show you. He said, I'm not Batman. Who are you? He said, I'm Wonder Woman. I said, boy, get over here now. We live life in so many roles that sometimes we do not know our true name. And you can be responsive to your role name time and time and time again and forget who you really are. Your true name, such that when God calls you by name, you don't even recognize who you are. Howard Thurman spoke of what was so important an experience of his childhood that became a lifelong experience for him when his grandmother basically defined who she was for herself, which enabled Thurman to define who he was for himself. And he said when his grandmother could see that the water was getting low in their wells, she would often call the children over to her and she would tell them the story of when she was a slave. She was born into slavery, and her early years were spent in slavery. That when she was a slave, there was a preacher who would often come by and preach to the slaves about being faithful to their master, and the slaves listened as they had to do. But what really energized the slaves was the preacher who would come by and say to them, "You are not slaves. You are not niggers. You are God's children." And Thurman said, as she said this, her spine stiffened, and there was this aura about her as she told this story that defined who she knew herself to be as a child of God. And all his life, he repeated this story that was not only about his grandmother, but it was about him. He knew himself to be a child of God, however he might have been defined by others. And he knows you to be a child of God, however you are defined by others. Be careful about defining yourself by how others see you, or defining yourself by your successes, or defining yourself by your failures. God has given you your definition. And with this, you can truly be alive to life. This is how you are energized to fully live to life. To not be defined by your worst act or your worst grade in a course, by your fears or your rebelliousness for periods of your life that embarrass you now. To not be defined by those things that you have done for which you find it so hard to even forgive yourself now. To not be defined by the fact that perhaps you have been a cause of hurt with other people. To not assume that what you have done at your best or at your worst ultimately defines you. You are a person of ultimate worth, whether or not you have been faithful to it. But you are a person of ultimate worth. Accept the challenge of knowing yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, your areas of confidence, your areas needing growth, your courage, and your fears. The aspects of you that you celebrate and the aspects of you that you regret. Embrace it all. And do not be afraid to embrace yourself and to pay attention to all of this and to recognize your need to involve others as you seek to honor this. Teachers in helping you to affirm who you are. Parents, friends, perhaps even therapists to help you in this embrace. To help you in this process of discovering who you are and to help you in this process of affirming who you are. Because this question of who am I is never fully answered at any point in time. Each one of you is so vast. Each one of you has so much territory inside of you that can never be fully explored in one lifetime. That this searching of self, this going inside of self is not in order to exhaust the definition of who you are, but it's to experience the wonder and the awe of how vast you are. Carl Jung, those of you who have studied Jung would know he's one of the most self-searching persons in psychoanalysis. In his autobiography, he wrote at the very end of his autobiography, "Today, at the end of these closing years, I find myself more a mystery to myself than I have ever been." You are full of wonder and mystery. You will even surprise yourself at times. Enjoy the journey. It is yours to take. It is a gift to you. The vastness of you is not cause for frustration, but celebration. Be alive to the adventure of self-discovery. Be alive to the mystery of who you are. The ultimate meaning of life is about you, but it's not only about you. The people all around you have ultimate meaning. And you must honor the ultimate meaning of who you are as you honor the ultimate meaning of who they are. This means paying attention so that you can be alive to others and responding to others, caring about their well-being and seeking healing for their injuries and seeking justice for the violations against them. In his autobiography, Howard Thurman speaks of the time he returned to Morehouse as a faculty member and the gatherings he had with Morehouse students. He writes, "The discussions ran the entire gamut of our interests and concerns, although they were inevitably related to our survival in a society that seemed to have no room for our young dreams and longings. Most often, we came around to the central problems of self-realization as Black men in American society. Invariably, we asked, why are we in college? What are we trying to find? How can we immunize ourselves against the destructive aspects of the environment? How can we manage the carking fear of the white man's power and not be defeated by our own rage and hatred? I was then only in my late 20s, but I could insist that neither they nor I could consider ourselves educated until we were able to relate what we had learned in our daily lives. I had majored in economics, but I could not be said to understand the modes of production and consumption until I was able to predict their effects on my own environment, that of a Black man in America. Paying attention to the well-being of others is what your life and what this education is about. To the well-being of community as an expression of what you are called to do, as an expression of who you have been called to be. Caring one-on-one, perhaps in tutoring a student or listening to a friend pour out his heart, or being kind to a stranger. Caring for the issues of systemic injustice, perhaps through voting or being involved in community activism that combats mass incarceration in this society, or attending to the fact that women are being abused at epidemic levels. We are called to care, to be involved in honoring others, sometimes with grand gestures of solidarity with them, and sometimes with subtle acknowledgments that you are meaningful to them. In my first year at Washington University, I was in this large class of sociology. It was a lecture class, and we would break out into smaller groups on other days, usually with a graduate student. But in this large class of over 100 students, listening to the professor lecture day after day, I was pretty inconspicuous, I thought. I was part of the herd that happened to be in the auditorium for this course. And then one day, as I was sitting in the back waiting for class to begin, the professor was walking down the steps, and he turned to me and he said, "Good morning, Mr. Smith." And I was stunned. How did he know my name? Why did he know my name? I, to this day, do not know the answers to that, but I tell you, when he called my name, I no longer felt lost in the crowd. My grades got better. I was paying attention more. I decided to make sociology my major. And I think my career as a scholar is in some way indebted to that one moment when he called my name. It's this kind of paying attention to someone and paying attention to what's happening to you that can transform your whole world. Make a difference in the moment, for the moments make a difference of a lifetime. It's also important in terms of being alive to life, to be alive to our environment and to honor our environment, to pay attention to creation, to be alive to beauty. Here we are in the fall. Here you are on a beautiful campus. And I suspect that for many of you, as it occurs also with me, it's easy to walk across the campus and to not recognize some of the trees that are just ablaze in color. It's stunning. But we can be so busy getting from here to there that we miss it. We do not benefit from what it is giving us. And when you stop paying attention to the obvious that is right there, pretty soon not paying attention can become a habit. You stop paying attention to flowers, you stop paying attention to beautiful sunsets, you stop paying attention to the beauty of music and art that inspires the spirit to soar, you stop paying attention to beauty that is in other people. And oh, to try and move through life indifferent to beauty is to live life bankrupt. Fyodor Dostoevsky said, "The world will be saved by beauty." And I think he's right. And even if he's not right, I don't think we can afford to ignore it. The relational dimensions of aliveness are not just confined to whatever we are experiencing in the present. For being alive to the present is to also be alive to the past. We are where we are because others have made our journey possible. Others. And realizing how you are here at Morehouse in this moment because of your indebtedness to others expands your awareness and your aliveness. I know each of you probably believes you've paid for your education, but you really haven't paid for your education, even though it's a lot of money. Your tuition pays for a very small part of what it takes to get Morehouse operating. No, you are here attending because of others who have invested in this institution for you. Some of whom are living, most of whom who are dead. And those in the past have given themselves for you, even though they don't know your name. To feel the presence of those who have given their lives so that I might be alive. This is my task. This is your task. In classes, the presence of writers, the presence of those who are musicians, who seek to inspire me, to move me over the centuries with their music. The presence of philosophy and the philosophers who challenge the mind and who provide some possibilities for creative thinking beyond what I have experienced in my own lifetime. The presence of science, the presence of those who have fought for me on the battlegrounds of the civil rights movement and encouraged me to engage fully in this presence, in this citizen participation of justice. To take seriously the dead. To take seriously what they have to offer. To take seriously, as we are today, Howard Thurman and what he offers you. Alice Walker captures our indebtedness to and our need for those in the past when she says, we are a people. A people do not throw their geniuses away. If they do, it is our duty as witnesses for the future to collect them again for the sake of our children, if necessary, bone by bone. Being alive, not only to the present and the past, but also being alive to the future. Each one of you is a child of the past. The past has given birth to you. But each one of you is also a parent of the future. Right now, you are the parent of the man you will become. Alive not only to who you will become, but alive also to who we will become. And the intensity of this moment is for all our coming moments. The future that we are now making, is hopefully a future to which we are alive. And the importance of engaging the future with a searching heart is what Howard Thurman was all about. To seek knowledge, yes. To seek wisdom, yes. But to seek what is true. And so I'm closing with this understanding of how important it is to be on the search. To search with the sense that your life depends upon it, because your life to live fully does depend upon it. To search in a way that you continue to feed yourself, going beyond the bounds that others perhaps have gone. When Thurman was a student here at Morehouse, he read every book in the library at that time. Every book. And in his later years, he wrote the book, The Search for Common Ground, where he was working through fields that were not really his specialty, but he was searching in myth, searching in biology, searching in the social science, to search. In my early visits with Thurman, I was so captured by him. Here was a man in his 70s, and there was something about Thurman that I couldn't quite grasp that was so stimulating to me. Here he was older, and yet here he was somewhat like a colleague, somewhat playful. And what I concluded was, Thurman is young. Even though he's in his 70s, there's a sense of timelessness about him. There is a sense that he's so searching, that he refuses to be fully captured even by the passing of the years. This engagement with life, this excitement about life. And the search is not primarily about coming to conclusions, but about embracing the mystery of life that takes you to the very depths of meaning. When you get into science, when you get into physics, you're not coming across conclusive answers because you just wait a year or two and somebody else will take you in another whole direction regarding physics. And once you get into quantum physics, you have no idea where you're going. No idea. And that can be a source of frustration if all you're trying to do is arrive at conclusions. But hopefully you're involved in this where it leads you to wonder and awe at all there is beyond what you'll ever know in your lifetime. When you get into the health sciences, you learn about the chemistry of the Bible, how things function. But what you also discover is there is so much beyond this, how it interconnects and works. And there's a wisdom of the body that you don't understand, but there's a wisdom that you see functioning in the body. Reportedly, the last words of Tolstoy were to seek, always to seek. The last words, to seek, always to seek. I believe Tolstoy understood the secret to fulfillment. Seeking is the way by which we satisfy the hunger of the heart. And Morehouse men, this is your assignment. Some days it may feel like pure joy, and some days it may feel like a burden. But it's your work, and it's what's necessary to keep you alive. To persist. And this decision is yours. This decision is yours. You have the power to say yes or no to yourself. You have the power to say yes or no to others. You have the power to say yes or no to life. You have the power to say yes or no to Almighty God. And this may be the ultimate significance of your efforts, to choose to be alive to God. I pray that you choose wisely. Life has the profoundest urge to come alive in you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Today we honor one of the nation's great pastors. Dr. Franklin, would you escort Dr. Harold Carter to the canvas? And with the Carter family, please come quickly to the platform. While they're coming, let me acknowledge in our audience today classes from Mercer University. Are you here? There you are. Thank you for coming. It's good to see Dr. Michael Neely Harris here, pastor of the historic Wheat Street Church. Alumnus Harris, good to see you. And in a moment, I'll have a surprise for you. Aha. The Reverend Dr. Harold Alfonso Carter. Our seventh president, Hugh Morris Gloucester, the founder of King Chapel, chose you to be honored and forever identified with the college mystique. You are a powerful college mentor of the grateful first dean of the Morehouse Chapel. You are a gentle and generous giant, an interracial building block, and a prayer warrior. More than anyone, you are said to have inherited the charisma of Martin Luther King Jr. You were assistant minister to Dr. King at Dexter Baptist Church in Montgomery, your senior year at Alabama State University. As the adopted son of Martin King, you were mentored in his Montgomery study, his home, his pulpit, and you sang in the choir of the Dexter Baptist Church. You were a day-to-day aide to Dr. King. He was a reference in your application to Crozier Theological Seminary. For over 55 years, your mystical motto has been, determined to live with Christ. The roar of your prophetic voice reached a fever pitch of your commitment to nonviolence on the Sunday after the 16th Street Baptist Church of Birmingham was bombed, claiming the lives of 4 innocent little girls. I know, I heard you. Your sermons and prayers were the talk of the town. It was joked on the streets of Lynchburg that God did not enter the church in Virginia until Harold Carter stepped into the Court Street Baptist pulpit. Like Howard Thurman, you are not an out front leader, but in the background, humble and wise, mystical and transcendent, contemplative and meditative. Countless civil rights leaders have come to you privately for prayer and counsel, like Nicodemus by night. When Rosa Parks was unanimously approved by both chambers of the United States Congress to be the first woman to lie in state in the rotunda of the United States Capitol, your voice was chosen to break the silence and capture the gratitude of a grieving nation. You have mentored 222 pastors and dispatched them across the nation. You twice drew 14,000 to Baltimore Civic Center for crusades and 25,000 to a crusade in Oriole Park at Camden Yard, also in Baltimore. Whenever the existential anxieties of the black community or its church, or the cup of emotional endurance of the clergy of the oppressed runneth over, your prayer voice has since 1955 been the one called on to storm the gates of heaven for the frightened children of crisis. You were happily married to the late Weptonoma Bermuda Washington Carter for 47 years. In 2 cities, yours was the quintessential first family with an eye for satirical splendor. You have earned 2 doctorates. You have built 4 houses, a family house, a church house, a schoolhouse, and a house not made by hands. Your exceptional pastoral spirituality and activism causes us to say today, you are fit to be the supreme pastor in the celestial kingdom, counseling the archangels at the right hand of God Almighty. Mr. President, you may unveil the canvas, then shall the trumpet sound. Dr. Carter is going to be available this late afternoon at 5:30 when the chapel assistants will be meeting, as they do every week in the chapel library. We're going to have dialogue and conversation with him. All of you are invited, and when we gather, I'm going to distribute a monograph written by Howard Thurman as he viewed the coast of Africa for the first time from a ship. We'll make that available to you if you have not seen it, to help round out this day in his honor. Some of you may not be aware, but Howard Thurman and his wife are buried on this campus. The obelisk is perhaps the tallest tomb honoring them in the American South. Thank you so very much. And now we're ready for the president of the chapel assistants, who is the new Martin Luther King Jr. Scholar at Morehouse College. And in case you're not aware of that distinction, it carries a purse of $10,000. right. Now they're going to the chapel assistants. Please rise. You're going to take the wreath, as is our custom, and place it in front of the bas-relief on the face of the obelisk, the Ben stone, in tribute to Dr. Thurman. And before we sing the college hymn, I invite everyone to rise. We want to thank Dr. Cynthia Hewlett, who made possible the hosting of our African Queens today. And now we're going to prepare for the African Queens to recess. You may go down. And to follow the chapel assistants down the aisle, the drummers. There will Now won't you join link arms across the aisles for the singing of the college hymn, Dear Old Morehouse. There will be a special luncheon upstairs for our honorees following the Crown Forum.